Alright guys, if you listen to the lecture, we're in chapter 5, lesson 5, and this is about adding color to a grayscale image. You're asked to open 5.2, so I'm going to do that really quick. The data files, chapter 5, and we're asked to open 5.2. And we're going to file save and store as basketball colorized. So file save, basketball star colorized. And remember, when you're saving this, always save on Photoshop format and keep it on Photoshop file until you're ready and done to submit your assignment. So click on that. I'm going to save this. And this is the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to change this into a grayscale image. Right now, this is a color image. The color mode is red, green, and blue. Okay, so it's a color image, but we're going to change that by clicking on Image, Mode, and changing that to grayscale. So when you do that, all color information is going to be lost, and instead, you have an image that is translated to another color space. This is the fastest way of you to change a color picture to black and white. Usually, we don't do this, okay? I'll show you different ways that we can do interesting things with grayscale, grayscaling a color image, but that's usually not what you do, okay? So anyway, so the lesson here is really to colorize, to add color to something that has no color information. So now we'll start with a color image, and we're in the process of removing the color information. So anyways, we're going to click on Flatten, and then we're going to discard all the color information. And I'll just say, don't show again. Alright. So now you realize that this is a grayscale color image. There is no color anymore. But then we're going to go back and we're going to change the color back to an RGB color scheme. What's going to happen when you go from a grayscale image to a RGB color image and you click, it still remains grayscale because you threw out all the color information. Okay, so this is you have to be careful when you grayscale something, an image, because later on you decide that you don't want it to be grayscale anymore. The color information is gone. You threw it out. But changing this image, a grayscale image, back to RGB mode, to a color image, allows you to put color back in. And that's what we're going to do. And that's called, on page 525, colorizing a grayscale image. So we're going to go and open adjustments here. So let's go to Image. Under Mode, we're going to go to Adjustments. And we're going to choose Hue and Saturation, or Control U. While that opens, it opens this dialog box here. I'm gonna mouse over here. I'm gonna cancel this. I'm gonna move this over here. Control U to show the panel, because I really want to see the full effect of what I'm doing to the image. Okay. So, anyways, we're gonna check the colorize checkbox because we want to add color to this to the image. I'm just making sure here I'm on the right layer. There's only one because we flattened it, and this is a background layer. So we're all good. Click on Colorize, and whatever you do here starts being applied to this background layer that we're actually working on. We're going to drag the hue slider until the text box shows 220. I'm just going to type 220 here. Okay, that brings us to a bluish hue. We're going to saturation is going to be 30, and lightness is going to be -10. Okay, so 220, 30, and -10 for hue, saturation, and lightness. And I'll click on OK. So now you have a bluish tone image. On lesson 6, you're going to be adding you're going to be working with filter, opacity, and blending modes, and this is actually very important because it took us. Let me see how much time we have. because it took us so little, we still have quite a bit of time. We can get this done, and we'll be done with chapter 5. The first thing we're going to do here is adjusting brightness and contrast on the image. So again, we're going to go to the image. This is going to be an adjustment. And what kind of adjustment? Is going to be in a brightness and contrast. This is on page 529, step number 1. Once we click on this brightness and contrast, we get this dialog box, and we're going to put the brightness slider to 15, and then the contrast to 25. Again, remember the brightness is amount of highlights on the color, and then contrast is how big the tonal difference between pixels of different tonal values are. Okay, we're increasing the contrast between pixels that are darker as opposed against pixels that are lighter in color. I'm going to click on OK. Boom. On page 530, we're going to be working with a filter, a blending mode, and opacity setting. We're going to go to filter, and everything that we're doing is applying to the background layer, by the way. So let's go to filter, sharpen, and sharpen more. Okay, so what we're doing here when you sharpen something is that you increase the aliasing, the contrast even more on the pixels, adjacent pixels. So now you see the picture starting to pop out a little more. You see the highlights better, and you see the shadows more dramatic effect. We're going to go to Edit, Fade, Sharpen More. We're going to get a dialog box, and we're going to change the opacity slider to 45. Bless you. And then we're going to change the fading mode from normal to dissolve. See, the effect is really about blending the surrounding pixels. So if you want to take a look really close, I guess we could. So we have post fade. I'll go to Edit, and I'll go to Step Back, Undo, Control Z. Okay, so this is and then I think redo is Control Shift. Redo, no, Control Z. Okay, so Control Z, Z. Okay, so fading tones it down, the contrast highlight that you've done before. He actually blurs it a little bit too. So we're gonna save our work. Control S. And oh, this is at the end of chapter. We still have one more. Anyways, let's go. We're going to switch to the basketball star image. So I'm going to have to open that. I'm going to Control Z this guy. I'm going to have to go open it. Basketball star image. My basketball star. Okay. Change the zoom factor to 66%. I don't know exactly what they want to, but 66. Background layer active. Okay. Zoom factor to 66%. I can't see my zoom factor because of my window mode. I'm going to press F and F. And all they want is for you to actually fit the image in the window. So Control 0 will allow you to do that. So anyways, we're going to go Image, Adjustments. So make sure you're in the right layer. I'm on background. So Image, Adjustments, and Color Balance. Adjustments, Color Balance. Control B. I'm going to drag the cyan red slider until plus 70. So, or I'll just plug in that number in there. The magenta green slider to minus 40. And the yellow and blue slider to plus 5. So plus 70, minus 40, and plus 5. And you notice that all these things are applied to the background image only. I'm going to click on OK. And now we're on lesson 7. We're going to be matching colors. And this is the third lesson. I think it's pretty fast. We're going to go on the same image to the hoopster layer. And we're going to zoom into the boy's shirt color. So I want to just shift to Z, zoom here. And I want to be able to see his color. Make sure that you're on the hoopster layer. We're going to go to select load selection. And we're going to choose, drop down on the channel, we're going to choose color. Now this is interesting. You did not create this selection. You did not save the selection. It was already pre-made. So at one point, the author actually created this selection. And when you create a selection and you save the selection and you get a chance to name it, and you can store it for later retrieval, and that's what's happening. We did not create the selection, the author did. When you click on OK, you're going to see the selection that he had on before. He made this, not you. We're going to open 5.3 TIF. So file, open. We're going to go to our DNR, our data files for this class. This is chapter 5. And they're telling us to open 5.3 TIF. It's going to look slightly different. Okay, TIF is another image file format. We're going to open that. I'm going to zoom into the image to, let me see here. I'm going to control 0 this to bring the cat all the way up. I'm going to select the magic wand tool. Tolerance is going to be 40. Anti-alias, make sure it's selected. And contiguous checkboxes, and contiguous as well. And I'm going to go to the yellow part of the cat's eye. And this is in the coordinates. I'm going to zoom in even more. Control plus here, plus. Click spacebar and drag. And I'm going to be using my info panel here to get to the coordinates that they're telling me to, which is 105x, 95y. Oops, can't see the ruler here. My toolbar. Okay, so 105 and 95. So somewhere in here, 105. Oh, shoot. 95. Alright, I got it. Okay? We're gonna select this. We're gonna activate the basketball star image. FF to go back to this basketball star image. An interesting thing is that we have now two files that are open. They too have different active selections on them. We're switching to the basketball star on the color selection, and we're gonna go to image, adjustments, and we're going to match color. The dialog box pops up on the source list arrow. We're going to drop this down and we're going to point to the 5.3 TIF file. And look at the preview. If you have preview selected, you're going to notice that this is another way of colorizing one area of the image using a color from another file. Click OK. And we are done. I'll save it as this because I'm gonna see period 1. And I didn't do anything on that guy, and this one is done. Okay, so remember, we are done.